The Renaissance was the rebirth of Greco-Roman culture that lasted from the 1300s to 1500s. Humanism focused on the things of this world and reflected the spirit of individualism and eventually encouraged a split from religious-based thinking. Humanist scholars concentrated on morals, literature, and history based on deep commitment to Christianity. The Renaissance began in Italy because of the visible reminders of ancient Roman culture and the support of arts by wealthy merchants who ruled the cities. Lots of trade contact happened in the Italian city-states, and they developed a secular view. The German Peace of Augsburg allowed each local prince to choose his own people's religion, either Lutheranism or Catholic. The Anglican Church was founded when Henry VIII wanted to annul his marriage, but the Pope refused to do this. Henry broke with the Catholic Church and formed his own church, the Church of England, or Anglican Church. The king became the head of the church instead of the Pope. French Calvinists were called Huguenots. Henry IV issued the Edict of Nantes, which allowed them to worship with some freedom.
Societies located in present-day southern Mexico, Guatemala, Belize, Honduras, and El Salvador. Classical Maya ruled from 300 to 900 CE. Terrace farming was developed to capture rainwater and silt to increase soil
Teotihuacan
was a city built in central Mexico because of the abundant supplies of fish. It developed agriculture by 500 BCE, and there was rapid expansion after 200 BCE. The two most important monuments were colossal pyramids of the sun and the moon.
The Aztecs migrated to central Mexico and established an empire based on military conquest. They settled on an island in the middle of Lake Texcoco in 1345 and built their capital, Tenochtitlan, or modern-day Mexico City. They developed a farming system called chinampas, mud plots of land that flowed in the middle of the lake, and a system of canals. They practiced human sacrifice because they believed blood flow led to the irrigation of crops. Also, because they believed it appeased their gods. They had a prophecy that when they found an eagle perched on a cactus sprouting out of a rock, they would settle here and be safe. And they did find this eagle on a cactus sprouting out of a rock at Tenochtitlan. Beginning in the 1500s, European nations competed to expand their empires overseas. Bartholomew Dias, a Portuguese explorer, rounded the Cape of Good Hope on the southern tip of Africa in 1488. Vasco da Gama, also from Portugal, rounded the Cape of Good Hope and continued his voyage all the way to India. This sea route gave Europeans access to the Asian spice market without having to cross the traditional land routes controlled by Muslims. Christopher Columbus proposed heading west to the Asian spice market through an all-water trade route. He was sponsored by Ferdinand and Isabella of Spain and landed in the Bahamas in 1492. He went to his grave believing that he had discovered the islands of the Asian mainland. In 1521, Ferdinand Magellan became the first European to cross the Pacific Ocean.
Mercantilism was a new economic theory with the goal of maintaining a favorable balance of trade. European nations built trading posts to establish commercial relations and to control the trade routes. Joint stock companies such as the Dutch East India Company and the British East India Company spurred exploration by bringing together many investors in order to minimize the risks and costs of investing. The Columbian Exchange was the global exchange between the New and Old Worlds. The exchange of new food products led to a population increase across the globe. Corn arrived in Afro-Eurasia. Wild goats, chicken, pigs, horses, and wheat arrived in America.
Spanish conquistadors explored the New World, many in search of gold and riches, or to convert the indigenous population of Christianity. Hernán Cortés arrived in Mexico in 1519, and within 2 years had conquered the Aztecs.
In 1522, Francisco Pizarro conquered the Incan Empire along the west coast of South America. Diseases to which the native people had no immunity, such as smallpox, decreased and weakened the population from 26 million to 1 million.
Spanish established colonies in the New World. The Dutch, English, and French soon
There
followed.
was an intense rivalry between the Spanish and the Portuguese over the new lands discovered by Columbus. The Pope had to set a line to divide the non-European world. This was called the line of demarcation.
A labor-intensive crop was the most important in colonial Latin America.
Silver mining also required an extensive labor supply. African slaves filled the demand for cheap labor supply in the New World. An estimated 11 million Africans were enslaved and made the Middle Passage across the Atlantic to the Americas.
A new colonial social hierarchy emerged based on birth. The peninsulares at the top were born in Spain. The Creoles, born in the colonies,
were next, followed by the mestizos and the mulattoes, and at the bottom were the natives and the slaves.
The encomienda system was a feudal-like system established by the Spanish, in which natives were granted to encomenderos, or Spanish landowners. The natives were treated harshly and were so overworked that the Spanish eventually had to import slaves from Africa to replace the labor supply.
In 1542, Spain passed laws forbidding the enslavement of Native Americans. However, the law was ineffective because Spain was too far away to enforce it. The Africans and the Native Americans experienced a cultural blending in the New World.